You know, one of the things coming into tonight that struck me, and I didn't even believe it, like, you know, polls are polls, but coming into tonight, NPR had done a poll that said 7 out of 10 registered voters, I think it was, were expecting to watch most or all of the debate tonight. That seems nuts to me that we would have seen figures like that as far as watching this debate, but it does tell you the importance that people place on it, whether or not they actually followed through with that. And what really stood out to me was they said 30% of the people watching tonight were likely to help solidify who they were going to vote for by watching tonight. You all are on the ground. You're meeting people every day here in North Texas. You talk to people. You know, maybe you're in a little bit of a bubble, you know, because you're, you know, focused around people who are in your party. Maybe you try to venture outside that a little bit. Do you get the sense that there are still a lot of gettable people out there, or people who are motivatable who otherwise might not vote? Do you get that sense?
Yes, I do. I think there are a lot of independents out there who have not made up their mind yet on who they're going to vote for.
You're meeting these people?
I meet these people.
Okay.
Yes, I do. And I think there are a lot of people who did not vote for Trump in 2020 that are more likely to vote for him in 24 because they don't like the direction of the country. They don't like the big government control. They don't want to grow government more. They don't want the socialistic policies that are coming out of the Biden and Harris administration. And so I think they're looking at it and they're concerned about the direction of the country.
But
you know,
they're waiting
Franklin Delano
still.
Roosevelt was called a socialist. That's the go-to argument for all Republicans. Socialist policies, but they really love their Social Security checks. I do think that people who watch the show got a difference of leadership style, and I do think that's important because we are all kind of experiencing PTSD. We are all trying to say, I'm tired of disliking my neighbor. I'm tired of all the divisiveness. And there was only one candidate that focused on, let's move forward, let's work together, let's not get muddled up in talking about people's race. Let's talk about what we have more in common than we don't have in common. So those are the kinds of things that happened today because we didn't really get into the nuts and bolts of their policies.
It is interesting, though, that we did see them. I mean, we talk about the divisiveness among, you know, the people, among Americans these days. Boy, these two went after each other there on the debate stage. It got very personal. I mean, if you can remember back, several election cycles ago, you probably would not have seen something like this where they went at each other, calling each other liar repeatedly, basically saying, the world is laughing at you. No, they're laughing at you. I think what was the other word that they used?
Disgrace.
Disgrace. You're a disgrace. You're weak. I mean, it just went back and forth over and over again. Does that help, the rest of us who are at each other's throats, it seems like sometimes politically? Does it help lower the temperature? Or, is this just a case where, each side's camps are cheering them on to get in there and go at it?
I don't think it changes. I don't think the ball moved at all tonight. I think the kind of things that are moving the ball are RFK endorsing Trump, asking all of his followers to endorse him, Elon Musk stepping up and endorsing Trump. It shows that these people are willing to work together in a unity party, which is what they were talking about, because they don't like the direction of the country. RFK does not like the direction of our country's going. Neither does Elon Musk. You've got a whole bunch of people like that who are saying, look, even if you don't love Donald Trump, if you don't like the New York, fighter, he still represents what we want our country to look like. So,
but on the other
and I know that we're probably going to disagree on that, but I'm just saying.
We're going to disagree, and those are two interesting people to want to pull upon. I don't know that RFK does much of anything, but he probably does fit better well with the Republicans in that respect.
And on the other side, you made the point earlier that she's gotten a lot of endorsements from former Republicans, including from his administration.
There's only one candidate who has the overwhelming support of not only her party, but also the other side's party. Okay, you see the crazy Tulsi Gabbard's on that side, who was really never a Democrat. You see RFK, who I just would never have brought him up because he's the one who actually went to beg Kamala Harris for a job, got denied, and then decided, okay, well then I'll go to Trump. So he fits in well there because he'll go to the highest bidder. That actually does nothing, and it's too late to get off of many of those ballots. And most people who are such low information voters that is actually not even going to help him. But there's only one candidate that has the endorsement from people who are actually respectable from both sides of the aisle, and that is Kamala Harris. And tonight she showed the American people that she wants to work for the people. She made the case that she was a prosecutor. She started from that beginning, and I can tell you that it's not a job that you do because you're making a lot of money. And her only client, I thought it was very resonating when she said that her only client was the American people, and she didn't ask them what their partisanship was. She asked them, how are they doing? And throughout the entire night, she reminded us that. How are you doing when you can't pay your bills? When you're a small business and you can't start a small business? We never heard anything like that from Trump. We never heard him look into the camera and say, how are you doing?
All of that came about under the last 3.5 years of Harris and Biden. All of that. I mean,
All of what?
All that you can't pay your bills, that inflation's gone up, that we had the false job report, and we find out that actually far less jobs were created.
It is a reality that we had COVID. It came, and unfortunately it did hit Trump. And I will say there's some things he did. I have supported the tax thing for companies when we had a supply side issue. But we were inherited, and I say we because now I'm talking partisan wise, but not we should be more purple than anything. I will support that. But Harris stated tonight they inherited a terrible economy and have to move forward. We are experiencing that feel because we're still stuck in an economy where the people who own the corporations are more concerned about making profits. I am old enough, and I think everybody at this table is, to remember a time where price gouging was considered un-American. And that is what you cannot say. The Biden-Harris administration has done anything to cause inflation when you have corporations making record profits as well as getting tax breaks. They don't mix. Inflation comes because we have a supply side problem, which we did have during COVID.
She wants to put price controls over food.
She doesn't want price controls. What she wants,
absolutely said she did.
No, she absolutely did not. That is the narrative that Republicans like to say because you like to change things to your own narrative.
Well, Biden's own economist said it.
What she wants to do is to go after companies that have monopolies, because when you have monopolies, when you have a company that owns pretty much all of the industry, they are able to sell the prices that they want. They're able to set prices. She wants to go after monopolies, and she wants to go after companies that are using inflation as an excuse to continue to generate record profits. My question is this: how do we have inflation when the oil companies are making record profits? That unfortunately, they didn't talk about that today. But those are things they should have talked about.